Hey there, my fellow gardeners, Rhadamant here. Thank you for tuning in to Oxygen Not Included, the Frosty Planet. Episode 3, Carbon Collection. So let's see if we can get a duplicant off of this. Oxalite, pip eggs, a tidying builder who gains attribute bonuses during meteor showers and is frostproof, but does not like critters. That's not... Trivaldo isn't a terrible duplicant. The other one has a lot of negative traits, which would be way more of a problem. So I think a builder tidier is actually okay. I don't have storage facilities yet, but I can definitely consider tidying up. So yeah, let's do that. And so the frostproof here, this duplicant is too cold to be bothered by the cold, so they're immune to chilly surroundings. So the advantage of like a tidier that is immune to chilly surroundings is that they won't have to constantly check in at heated areas in order to feel comfortable. And then they're also a builder. So yeah, let's print that. Or him, I should say. So Trivaldo. We are going to raffle you off to one of you viewers. Good luck in the raffle. So priorities. Trivaldo, you really like tidying, and you're pretty good at building. And you are also good at supplying and storing. So I don't really have, and I'm not planning on, just because he's good at these things, to necessarily set up storages for him. So I'm just going to leave him be basically building and harvesting and all that. But eventually, when we have storages, it will be really nice to have him help out with that. Construct a building outside the initial starting biome. That was probably this wall here. I'm getting into a different biome through this granite impediment. And we already had a bed for him. One thing I do need is a mess table for him. So we'll get a mess table built so that he can benefit from that as well. Azarune, thank you for the resub. Alright, so for the critter drop-off here, we're going to be dropping off phlox and phlox fawns. But I don't have anything planted there just yet. Also, why aren't these pike apples actually being harvested? Do I have to raise them even higher? I will do that. Did the plants drop the CO2? Are you referring to the Aloe vera? So the Aloe vera drop oxalite, but they have to be harvested for that. So they require manual labor to essentially harvest the oxalite from the plant. And then the oxalite is dropped where the plant is, in its you know, ore form or whatever you want to call it. So our K-Cows are holding pretty steady for now. But pretty soon I suspect that we'll have a lot more pike apple actually planted, which should help out a lot. The one thing to note is that the shearing station does indeed require power, so I'm going to run a little cable out there. All of the power infrastructure that I have set up initially is very temporary, so this isn't what my power grid is going to look like, you know, anytime in the future. I just wanted to throw that out there. This is all ad hoc temporary stuff. So another thing that we're going to need sooner or later, oh, and this compost I'm going to put up to 8, is a way to get rid of the polluted water that comes off of the sinks. So when we wash our hands, it creates polluted water, and for now... I'll deal with that in a bit. Actually... No, I'll deal with that now. So, plumbing. Bottle emptier, right there. I'm just going to dump the polluted water down this shaft. And because of the ambient temperature, it's going to refreeze into polluted ice. So it's not really going to be a problem for us for the mid to far, even far future. We don't have any polluted water just yet. We only have water. So, again, that's not even an issue that we're going to have to contend with for a bit. But when it does create polluted water, we'll have somewhere to dump it. So if you're wondering if the harvesting was manual or automatic, it is manual. And if I find an aloe vera that is ready to be harvested, it kind of looks like it has like a blob of like dew on it, maybe? It's easier to show than describe. But if you ever see an aloe vera like juggling a blob of dew or water, that's actually the oxalite ready to be harvested. Am I going to have the carbon dump anywhere at the bottom of my ladders? So once the... Well, I would actually say the farm is kind of done and the ranch is kind of ready. So let's do that right now. What Glitch just asked. Prepare for the carbon dump. Or rather, build an area to convert carbon back to oxygen. And there's the raffle. It goes to Sean. So here's what I'm doing. I am going to have all of our carbon dioxide pull down here, which means I need to remove all of the lips so that it can't get stuck anywhere else. We can also research mesh tiles. I don't need them immediately, but there's different types of mesh tiles. So there's mesh tiles which do not obstruct the flow of liquid or gas, and then there are mesh tiles that do not obstruct the flow of gas. So I can also use these to allow gas to freely flow through the floorboards, or floor, they're not boards, so that they can drop out from a building. So there's a bunch of different ways to move gas around, but that would be one such way, which we could employ. So the idea here is to pool all of the gases at this point, and then I'll have a aloe vera farm down here to be able to absorb said gases and convert them back into, or absorb carbon dioxide and convert it back into oxalite, which will then outgas to oxygen. And Sean, where are you? There you go. Oh, Sean, first time I look at what you're doing, you're plunging a toilet. Oh, for the greater good, right? So there seems to be an ice biome over here with some wheezeworts. More ice biome down there. I wouldn't mind working towards obtaining my first Lumen quartz. So I will dig a path towards it, but it's low priority. I don't really need it. We've got like a mini iron glacier here thing. Not really sure what to call it. And then there's a lot of ethanol pools, which we can use as liquid locks. So liquid locks, I will get into, not quite yet, but like when we're trying to make a thermally isolated infrastructure, I'll talk a little bit more about it. I don't want to get ahead of myself. Looking good. Oh wow, you're already going for the Lumen quartz. Cool. All right, I won't stop you. Oh, so here it is. This is the look of a aloe vera ready to be harvested. Well, thanks, Phlox. Get the Phlox out of the way. Yeah. So it kind of looks like a glob of oxalite being juggled by the plant. So we are, what research are we working on right now? Agriculture. Right. So down here, the plan is to plant Aloe vera. And the Aloe vera, they need a supply of carbon dioxide. It takes 2 days to grow. And they are fed ice. So they're pretty easy to feed given that we're in an ice biome. But it would maybe be a good idea to store ice locally so that it's easy to supply it. So the thinking is to put a storage bin here where we have ice in it, so that the fertilizer for the Aloe vera is stored nearby for convenience. Now, I don't know how many Aloe vera we'll need to reach, like, some sort of equilibrium, so this will have to be experimented upon. So I'd rather go bigger than necessary because, you know, for the bottom of our base to slowly fill up with carbon dioxide is a bit of a problem, but for us to process all the carbon dioxide back into oxygen is not a problem. So I'd rather have not a problem, which is why I'm designing it. Oh, wow, we already carved the Lumen quartz. So I'm going to move this Lumen quartz to here. Cheers. And then I'm creating 2 vertical shafts that are at least 2 wide in order to allow for the free flow of the carbon dioxide to settle. So here is the current base. There are unbreathable parts of the base right now because of the heater is outgassing, but I'm not too worried about that because they are breathing. But you can see it settling and pulling here because it's a little stuck. It's got a little stuck there as well. So anywhere where it's getting stuck, I'm going to dig out the lip so that it can free flow downwards. And we just researched agriculture. So the requirement for a greenhouse. If you were wondering, the benefit of the greenhouse is that crops grown within a greenhouse can be tended with a farm station fertilizer to increase the growth speed, which I don't really plan on doing, but it does require a farming station. So I'm going to put a farming station in here, even if I'm not necessarily going to try to benefit from a greenhouse immediately. And then it also unlocks what we need to be able to synthesize fertilizer, which is polluted water and phosphorite into fertilizer. And then also hydroponic farm and a refrigerator, which I'm not going to be using because I don't really need. I'm trying to think if there's any other research that I want to get immediately. Probably I will work towards the mesh tiles and liquid mesh tiles. So our kcals have been going up, if you've been noticing. And now that the pike apple bushes are starting to be harvested, it's only going to increase higher and higher still. Let's go ahead and move this Lumen quartz sooner than later. Gonna high prioritize its move. So that's not right. Obviously, we want a ladder here. And then most of the lips, which were preventing the carbon dioxide from settling to the bottom, have been removed. So you can see that there's not really any hang-ups anywhere. I might want to actually dig out this here, just so that this pocket can start dropping, and then any other pocket of carbon dioxide that is above me to drop out so that we can start to convert it back into oxygen. Alright, we just got plumbing. And I'm not going into the details of all these researches until I start using them. Because otherwise I'd just be explaining everything I'm researching and not progressing in the, towards the goals. Alright, new printables. Let's see. We have some duplicant skills, so Sean leveled up for the first time, and I am going to give him improved tidying so he can carry more. Make him strong. And then a new blueprint. Digging, ranching, a lot of positive traits, bottomless stomach, so that's more kcals. Supplying, tidying, supplying, doctoring, or pufflet eggs. I'm going to go for the eggs. I know, boring. And we're just gonna crack the eggs. Oh, someone else leveled up. Matic! Matic leveled up, and I'm gonna give Matic the ability to do super hard digging. So there's 3 tiers of stuff. There is slightly hard, like granite. And then there's harder still, like abyssalite. And then, I don't even think on this map tile there would be a tier 3 hardness that I would have exposed yet, but being able to dig through abyssalite is going to allow us access to most of the map tile. So I would say the really important one to get is super hard digging early on, because anytime you run up against abyssalite, which abyssalite tends to be the barrier between biomes, because abyssalite is weird and unique in that it has no thermal conductivity, so it doesn't really allow the heat transfer between biomes, so it helps to isolate biomes. So if I take a look at there's not a really good example here, but like this biome, for instance, is probably surrounded by abyssalite. So if there was hot on one side and cold on the other, it doesn't allow the heat transfer between the two, so it keeps your asteroid stable. Abyssalite is sort of like a magical material to keep your asteroid stable so it doesn't destroy itself over time. Alright, there we go. Greenhouse and stable. Perfect. No, I actually don't really need that. Let's not put in superfluous work. Alright. The Alveil Vera needs to get planted, and then the storage bin built. So, let's put in this as a 6. But you can see that most of the carbon dioxide, and there's some exceptions here, but most of the carbon dioxide has settled out. Now, the only issue that I have is I do have low oxygenation here. So there is some solution to that. There's a very low-tech solution, which is the oxalite sconce. I forget where that is. Give me one moment. I think it's in gases. Yeah, it's right there. So I'm actually going to prioritize researching towards the oxalite sconce. So the oxalite sconce allows you to take a brick of oxalite, or like a nugget of oxalite, and put it into a sconce, or like a torch, to be able to outgas oxygen, because there's a low level of oxygen where the bedrooms are. Then it would be good for me to have oxygen where they sleep, so they don't have to hold their breath while they sleep. In terms of Nabla leveling up, Nabla is getting pretty close to being able to get farming, and then it will be one more level until I can start ranching. So it's not too far. It's workable. So what I'm doing here on the sides is I'm building like a physical lip. So it's like a bowl to catch the carbon dioxide. So if I wanted to descend deeper into the map, what I could do is I could dig like a ladder over here. so that most of the carbon dioxide that drops out of the base gets caught in this bowl, and then I can go around the edge of the bowl to go deeper if I feel like it. So in this box here, we are going to put liquefiable ice, because ice is and I'm going to have this be a sweep only box, and I'll explain that in a second, but ice is the fertilizer for the Velvera. So sweep only allows you to... ooh, that's not what I meant to do. It allows you to only put objects that you specifically queue up sweep tasks for. So we're going to fill this with ice, but only ice that comes from the bedroom. And the reason I'm doing that is the bedroom is the place where the ice is most likely to melt first, because we have a heater there. Granted, this heater isn't currently fueled, but when it is fueled, I don't really want gushing water coming out like a deluge out of the bedrooms. And we're starting to get the Velvera in. Good. And it's going to consume carbon dioxide and then turn it back into oxalite, allowing us some more breathability. And here is the carved Lumen quartz. So the carved Lumen quartz, if I open up the light overlay up here, it is a bright object. So I put it here because it might... I'm not sure it's going to affect the grill here. But if we take a look at Scorpio, Scorpio is in a lit workplace. Okay, my overlay is completely blocking that. I apologize. Meaning that their work speed is up 15%. So the Lumen quartz is just a cheap man's light bulb. But it is also a decor object. So it has a base decor of plus 10. So it's a pretty thing to be around, and it produces some light. So they're nice to carve up and then to like drop into place to illuminate workplaces for work speed. Alright, we have Scorpio leveling up. Scorpio, I'm going to give you field research. And I'll probably need another Lumen quartz for the grill if we want to illuminate the grill. Maybe this one? Or that one? This one's not unobtainable. Let's see. The only thing I want to consider is not to create like a carbon dioxide pocket. But yeah, I can get to that one. I'm just looking around, see what kind of raw resources there are for me to use as we expand. Looking good. So the Velvera conversion farm is almost done. We got 1,400 kilograms of ice ready for fertilizer. And then most of the Velvera plants planted. I'll probably want more than what I have already. So I'll build 6 more. I'd rather go overkill. Now, there's a lot of other things that I'm trying to sweep up here that we have no space for. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to have you guys vote for the first poll of this series what my next project is. Whether it's going to be to start working towards an isolated living quarter, like a insulated, isolated living quarter, or for me to start adding infrastructure for production. So what that would look like would be in the research tree, like maybe textile looms, or refinement, like the rock crushers. The other thing I could do is research towards transportation so that I can add fire poles around the base for quick speed movement. So I'm going to have you pick between those options. What to work towards next. Insulated living area, storage area, or production area. Very, very simple. Not tightly defined so that I can interpret it how I will. We ate a terrible meal. Now, what are our consumables? How'd you even eat a terrible meal? Did you eat plume squash? I didn't have plume squash. What could they possibly have eaten? I don't know. Did you eat... You're not allowed to eat raw egg. So what the hell did you eat? I don't even know. Oh well, whatever. It's not my problem. It's his problem. Alright, I think I'm probably going to move the bottle emptier to somewhere a little bit less less of a problem than where it is now. So let's see, I'll put the bottle emptier here for now. I'm really not looking to over-engineer anything for the moment. One other box that we can consider building is, because of our need for phosphorite around the farm, to build a phosphorite storage either near the farm or the ranch or both. So if I put a box there, we can put a mesh tile underneath it once I have mesh tiles researched. And then just keep phosphorite stored right outside of the farm. Alright, we just researched portable gases. Nice. So the only thing that I care about right now for portable gases is the sconce, and I'm going to build an oxalite sconce here. Now, I don't think that I have a lot of ore oxalite, so if we do have low breathability in the bedroom, I'm just going to need to dig up some oxalite and put it into the sconce. It looks like you guys want me to work on the living insulated area, so I'm going to work on that next. I just want to wrap up the ranch prep and wrap up the Aloe Vera carbon dioxide conversion farm. And here is the other Lumen quartz. Let's move that right there. Alright, in terms of research, now that we have the portable gases for the sconce, I would really like just a standard mesh tile. And we were pretty close to getting it, so I'm going to go back to that research. Nabla, you are not in an illuminated area, I'm assuming? No. So we will get that moved. And then this sconce I'll put at 9, which is kind of ridiculously high. But that's just so that we can add some breathability in that area. And to that end, I'll dig up some of this oxalite here so that we can move it to this sconce. So the Aloe Vera farm is almost done. And then we just need to plant the plants in the ranch. And then I'll start working on the temperature isolated living area, which should be a lot of fun. And that will be definitely one of the more technologically challenging things to do. So now I'm leveled up, and I'm working towards ranching so that we can ranch the flocks for wood. There's other ways to get wood, but that's definitely going to be the easiest way, given the animals that we have available to us, and the plants, for that matter. So cake cows are looking pretty good. Stress looks great. Nobody's stressed. Everybody's fed. In terms of morale and skill, everybody is way higher morale than they require, so that's not much of an issue either. Ooh, made a mess. Nabla went potty, and it immediately froze. Not much of a problem. Liquid. A second mess? Okay, and it froze as well. I don't know why they didn't go bathroom. One of the two outhouses... Oh, no, they're both out of order? Wait, for real? All right, let me set them on 9s. No, this one is not... Oh, it's awaiting dirt. So let's take a quick look. Do I have dirt? I have 3,000... Yeah, I have plenty of dirt. So they just need to deliver dirt to the outhouses. They just didn't do that in time. But there we go. No longer making a mess. Good. And we researched plumbing. So that means that we have mesh tiles. And instead of having a ladder here, I can put a mesh tile so that the storage bin can exist. And then I would also like to work towards the mesh tile, which allows for the block of liquid flow, but without obstructing gas, which is really good for, like, water aquifers. So this bin here is going to be for phosphorite, and I'll set it to like 9. It's the most high priority phosphorite area. So we can store all of our fertilizer right next to where we need it. So once the aloe vera farm and the ranch is done, I'll go ahead and start working towards a liquid lock to a temperature isolated area, which we will move our recreation room, probably our kitchen, because kitchen produces a lot of heat. Really anything that produces a lot of heat should probably be temperature isolated from the rest of the base, with some exceptions. But if we take a look at like the temperature state change overlay, anything with like the fire icon is something that can produce, is a heat source. So you can see what becomes heat sources. So some things that are potential heat sources, like outhouses, I'm just like not worried enough because the amount of heat that it produces is not going to be enough to be a concern in the near future. It depends on the BTUs it puts out. So the outhouses, for instance, output 250 DTUs, whereas like the liquid, the liquefier for ice puts out kilo DTUs. So like the difference on those is multiple orders of magnitude, right? So like the ice liquefier way hotter than, you know, the outhouse. So I'm mostly concerned about things that are going to be in constant usage that are going to produce a lot of heat regularly. Like a grill, for instance, produces a pretty decent amount of heat pretty regularly. The amount of where does that say? Yeah, heat production, 4.5 kilo DTUs per second under normal operation. So just to temperature isolate the things that are producing a lot of heat, so we don't end up like melting the hell out of everything, which would be bad. Ooh, here is a new biome. So these are bonbon trees. Bonbon trees is a plant that produces nectar. So they synthesize light and produce nectar. Branches can be harvested for wood. And nectar is a new liquid which can be heated into steam and sucrose or frozen into ice and sucrose. The bonbon tree consumes snow, produces nectar, consumes snow and light, produces nectar. And nectar is also a resource that an animal uses, which I haven't found one yet, but I'll mention it once I find one. So the ranch's pike apples should not be harvested. I'm just going to let them freely grow and be grazed upon by flocks once we have ranching. So I'm disabling the auto harvest up there. New blueprint. A rancher farmer who's frostproof, handy, but does not like animals. That's weird for a rancher. Nutrient bars. A supplier cook who is building impaired and likes to wake up early in the morning, or a supplier. Okay, I'm going to go with the bars. Pretty boring choice, but the duplicants were kind of bleh. Can we move the priority window up? It's overlapping the detail screen when it pops up. Yeah, I can move it up. I can move it like here. The only problem with that is when I interact with new resources, it will get covered up in a different way. Essentially, Oxygen Not Included doesn't have a lot of good real estate for the screen because everything eventually gets filled up. Some games are just like that, where no matter where you put things, it becomes a problem at some point. Cool. The backcountry grill is now illuminated. All right, I'm getting a little tired of dupes not actually doing this. So I'm gonna set it as a slightly higher priority so that they prioritize it so that I can move on and do the temperature isolated area, which I spoke about. One mistake you make is to get too many dupes too quickly. Yes, that is definitely a problem. Not getting enough dupes, things are slow. Getting way too many dupes and you run into a lot of shortages and a lot of growing pains. So I usually err on the side of not growing too quickly. So yeah, progress is slower, but it's steadier and more predictable and more manageable as a result. Alright, pressure management just got researched. So that gives me the airflow tiles. Next up, I wouldn't mind getting all of the novice research done. Just to have it done. Oh, and I have polluted water. So the polluted water is emitting polluted oxygen. Excuse me, polluted oxygen, which I don't really want. So I am going to dump the polluted water in this bottle emptier. So that anytime the wash basins have polluted water, or in this case polluted dirt, it gets processed rather than becomes like polluted oxygen in the base, which can harbor germs. So I'm trying to germ proof. And I'm going to make this an emergency just so they sweep it up. So they grab it, Matic grabbed it, and he's going to dump it in this bottle emptier, and it will just immediately freeze because the ambient temperature doesn't allow for liquid for very long. There's probably a better place to put it, given that that water also has food poisoning risk. So like dumping it, digging through here and dumping it in this hole here might be fine. My only worry is that it becomes a carbon dioxide pool. But yeah, we could do that. So I'll put a pneumatic door here. And then a bottle emptier here to just dump it in this pit and have it refreeze. Because, you know, this was kind of an imperfect solution. Okay, we just got interior decor. So for lamps, lights, and flower pots, I'm not too worried about decor. Our morale overhead is high enough that I don't really need to worry about things looking pretty just yet. So that's pretty low on my priority of stuff to care about. But here is all the aloe vera outgassing its oxalite, and it's creating a pocket of oxygen underneath all the carbon dioxide as a result. And then the sconce is up here, waiting for some more oxalite, but the breathability of our bedroom is pretty high as a result. So that's good. I'm surprised that this liquid has not frozen. Oh, there it goes. Now it's freezing. So this is done down here. We're just waiting on the ranch getting seeded. And then let's start thinking about the liquid lock for the living area, which is temporarily going to displace everything that I've built over there. So although it's not exactly efficient, I am going to build some duplication stuff. So what I'm going to do here is to build a pneumatic door with like snow tiles and move the wood heater, because I essentially need this stuff out of the way. And then to do the same with the mess tables as well. Because I want to free up everything left of this ladder to be part of the isolated, insulated area. Is this big enough? 12? Yeah, 12 is the minimum, so that's exactly the right size. I'll just build a little bit bigger. And the ranch is getting seeded. How soon are we going to have ranching? Let's see. Nabla, and about 5,000 experience. It's not terrible. And we're sitting on almost half of the wood that we started on. We started with 20,000 kilograms, and we're down to 12,000 kilograms. So I'm not like running a risk of necessarily running out, is my point. We're doing okay on that. Thank you for tuning in to Oxygen Not Included, the Frosty Planet, which originally streamed live on Twitch, July 25th. If you have any feedback or questions for me, let me know in the comments below. If you would like to catch a live stream of mine, Rhadamant.com has my stream schedule and countdown timers to upcoming streams. If you would like to join my online gaming community on Discord, Rhadamant.com has a link to it, as does the description of this video. Thank you so very much for watching, and a special thank you to my Patreon patrons, Twitch subscribers, and viewers like you that support the channel and made it all the way to the credits. Thank you so very much. I hope to catch you next episode or upcoming stream. Farewell, my fellow duplicants.